Time for another Stars, Cars, Guitars on our YouTube channel, and I'm really thrilled to say from Car SOS, it's one of my TV favourites. No, not Tim Shaw. That was close. We've gone one better. It's Fuzz Townshend. Hi, Fuzz.
Hey, how's it going? Great to be with you, Alex. Loving it.
Are you ready for the interview of your life, the ride of your life on a YouTube channel?
I am, yes. But we'll do this one first.
Stars, Cars, Guitars.
Fuzz Townshend from Car SOS is with us on our YouTube channel, Stars,
Hello.
Cars, Guitars. Fuzz, first of all, what are you sat in?
I'm sat in the back seat of my 1929 Austin 12.4 Burnham Saloon.
Right, okay. Already I've got a problem.
What's that?
I love classic cars,
Yeah.
but I don't get vintage cars. The ones they used to drive around in the anthill mob in wacky races, and that looks like one of them. I don't get the vintage thing.
Look, here we go. Here you go. This is what you've got in here. Okay, there is a child seat in the front, and strictly speaking, that might not be quite on, but it's the only place it'll fit. So it's going in there. But have you ever driven one?
No,
Right,
I don't.
Stop right there. Stop right there, because that's the problem. There it is. I've hit the nail on the head. You need to get out in one. That's what converted me. Absolutely.
Really? You see, I mean, give me any classic car, even a Hillman Imp. Maybe not a Simca, but most classic cars are a bit rock and roll. I mean, you're a rock and roll drummer, and
Yes.
I look at those vintage cars and think they're not safe. The brakes are dodgy. They're just a hazard on the road. If I had my way, free tax for classic cars, half price insurance. Well, I guess it is half price insurance for classic cars, but ban those vintage cars. They're all. They should be in a museum. Put them in Bewley, and we can all walk around them.
But that's why you need to drive them. You see, what happened with me was probably about 15 years ago, I borrowed a 1923 Vauxhall and drove to the Le Mans Classic in France from Bedford, from Luton or wherever it was, and drove it all the way down there. And it was the drive of my life. It was absolutely superb. I loved it all the way. People were giving it loads of love, both in England and in France. And by the time I got back, I was completely converted. It was simply the most amazing adventure that I'd had in a car. So after that was it. I was hooked on vintage cars.
What is it about the driving experience? Because when you said you drove all that way, I'm thinking of all the people behind you. I would have been thinking, I just can't get round this guy. Give me a bit of straight road. So what is it for you in the driving seat that is so wonderful?
It's the involvement. It's the involved driving experience. So not only are you just steering the car, I mean, let's face it, nowadays, cars may as well be autonomous because people are not driving those cars. They are not in control of them. They may think they are, but in a modern car, you don't control it. And the further back you go, then the more in control of the car you as a driver actually are. So you have to set the timing. You have to make sure the engine's running sweetly. So you're kind of performing an engineer's role as well. You're looking at the gauges, making sure that the battery's not overcharging or undercharging, and you have to set the switches to make sure that that's all okay as well. It's a complete driving experience rather than just being some dumbass sitting behind the wheel going, and that's it.
All right. Okay, hang on there just a minute. Hang on. It smells like an old damp shoe.
That's just my shirt.
Hey, Fuzz, where is the jacket? The famous jacket. You wear it everywhere. I was expecting you to have it on today. I think you even got married in that jacket.
I did. I didn't get married in that jacket, but because it's such a lovely, balmy, late February spring day with the daffodils bursting forth, I really don't need the jacket. Do you want me to go and get it? There'll be dead air for about 2 minutes if I do.
Maybe towards the end, I'd like to see it. But is it your lucky jacket? Every photo shoot, every time you're on the TV, I think even if you've got overalls on, the jacket's underneath. Is it your lucky? Is it your lucky jacket?
I love that jacket. I've had it for so long, I can't remember when I got it. It's probably 30 years or something since I bought it. And even then it used to be a long coat. But I saw it in a second-hand shop in Sheffield when I was playing a gig. And I thought, if I just snip that with some scissors just across there, just below the pockets, that'll make a great jacket. And I think I was right. And that's all I did. I just snipped it. I mean, the lining's fallen out of it now. Maybe I should treat it to a new lining or something. But no, it's an old cut-off coat, and I love it. It kind of looks a bit like an Edwardian motoring jacket, and we're back to pre-war motoring.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting this, but now that the evidence is there, you're a bit steampunk, aren't you?
Steampunk? I don't know. Steampunk, I expect, I'd be wearing boots with big studs in them or something like that, but that's not very me. I'm just a bit Fred Dibner.
But you are a rock and roll version of him. Pop Will Eat Itself.
Yes.
Now that must have been a lot of fun. You hit the top 10. Were things going really, really well for you, and then Oasis and Blur turned up, and then everybody looked a different way?
Yeah, it was a bit like that, really. Yeah, I guess I kind of felt it was a bit like that. I remember because I played in other bands, so things like General Public and Rankin Roger, which then went on to play in the Beat later on in its later incarnation. But I remember back in the 1980s, Horace, the bass player out the Specials, who was playing for Rankin Roger and General Public at the time, saying about when they went into their record company offices, and they were sort of like Ghost Town was number one and all that kind of thing, and walking out the other way was Duran Duran, and they just went, "Oh, it's over, it's completely over." And it was I felt exactly like that. That was that moment for certainly for me, and if not for the other guys. I mean, it was clear the writing was on the wall. And Blair used to support Pop Will Eat Itself loads and loads. We got invited to their to the Park Life album launch, and it was clear that this was going to be a massive deal. And they just eclipsed everything. That whole scene eclipsed everything that went before it.
There's there's a certain discomfort, I'm sure, with meeting the new kid on the block, but also if you can kind of look at it and think, actually, they're probably going to be bigger than us because maybe the time was really right for them, or maybe we were chasing something. Right? I don't know, but that must have been like a double whammy for you. Not only are they the next thing, but they're the next big thing. And we've done the top 10. It's great, but we're not going to be playing main stage at Glastonbury. Well,
put it this way: our record company, which was RCA Records at the time, dropped us the week that we went into the top 10. So that was it. We got to number 9 in the charts on Sunday. We got dropped by the record company on Monday. It wasn't enough for them. They were just like, we've had enough of these guys. Because all that used to happen was with Pop Will Eat Itself, they had a partisan fan base who would go out and buy the records as soon as they came out, and it'd be like, "Hey, we're in the charts." And then the next week, straight out again. So we were not selling the amount of units. If we were Mars bars, we'd be the strawberry and ham version that everybody would buy once, but that's it.
What you've just explained there didn't seem to do Gary Newman any harm. It was exactly the same. The Gary Newman fans would shoot him into the charts. There he was in the top 10 for a couple of weeks. And then you go back the third week and he was out of the 40. So it's not ideal for a record company. But no. It seems a bit cruel for us.
Yeah, it is a bit cruel, but that's just the nature of the beast. Really, Pop Will Eat Itself was a bit of a, it was an indie band, really, with a hardcore fan base who loved the band and still do love the band, and just supported the band, and it just pushed into the charts, and it was like the gatecrasher at the party. Really, we were in, and then like very soon afterwards, the host would notice that we got in and get us and have us ejected by the security company. So we just did that a few times really, and it was the same. When once I joined Bentley Rhythm Ace afterwards, they had longer stays in the chart, but never got so high as Pop Will Eat Itself. So it's just one of those things. What can you do? I wasn't in the right place at the right time. I was just a little bit too old to be in Blur, but I knew them, and a little bit too old to be in Ocean Colour Scene. Yet before I joined Pop Will Eat Itself, I was in a band called Kirk's Equator, and we were on the same record label, a record label in Birmingham called I think it was FFFFFT or something like that. And Ocean Colour Scene were our only other bandmates, so I knew them really well. And it was just like everybody was going up while we were on the down. It's just the way it goes, isn't it? It's the roundabout of pop music.
Listen, I'd do a lot to change places with you. You've done Top of the Pops. You've been top 10, and this is the really important thing for you. And you have. When I watch you guys on these programs, I really, really admire you. But I think you've got fingers of gold. You can take an old car and just I know it looks like you've tinkered with it for 7 minutes on the TV before it goes from being worth 900 quid to 20,000, and I know there's a lot of broken knuckles and ripped off fingernails and those nuts that won't come off and all of that, and you condense
of course there are.
You condense it all down into half hour or an hour or whatever it is, but it must feel good to think that you can buy other people's junk, mind you, as any classic car junk now, and you can turn it into gold, Fuzz.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can, but with a team, it's like being in a band. I started out as the drummer in the band, and now with classic cars, I'm the lead singer. So I do the least and get the most praise for it. It's brilliant. Now I know what it's all about. But yes, it is great to be able to take some junk and sort of like direct it all and do the little bits that I like to do and step back and look at it and know that it's going to look great in the in a very, very quick turnaround time. I was over in my workshop yesterday and we're working on this car, and it always gets to a point where everything's everywhere and it looks a mess. And then suddenly yesterday, it all started to come together. And now I can see it. I know that car's got to be done by the end of next week, but I couldn't see that. I couldn't see that yesterday morning, but by yesterday afternoon, I could see it in front of my eyes. The magic's happened. The transformation was there. We'd gone over the hill, crested the hill, and we're going full tilt downwards.
Now, these programs, they all need a bit of jeopardy in them. And it usually comes, if it's an hour-long program like Grand Designs on Channel 4, it's usually just before the third ad break when, oh, no, the concrete hasn't arrived. And are we going to get it all fixed? And then, remarkably, it all comes together and we all get a happy ending, which is great.
Such a cynic, Alex. Such a cynic. Go on, ask the question. Ask the awkward question.
So you're building this jeopardy. But there must be. Are you really, really working all through the night? And the boys have been hard at it all through the night, burning the midnight oil. Or if you've just had a hearty breakfast and you've come in, and they say, "Don't shave, Fuzz. Make it." Well, you never shave anyway. Make it look like you've been here all night.
Okay, let me tell you the honest truth. We revealed a car. Was it the last car that we revealed? It was either late last week or a bit earlier on. Anyway, the car that we revealed last, we had to work 3 nights in a row. And when I say 3 nights in a row, till gone midnight. And then on the final night, I left at probably about 9 o'clock in the evening or something like that to go to the hotel nearby where the reveal was going to be. And the car did not get there until 10 o'clock the following morning, and it came straight out of the workshop, and the guys had pulled a treble shift really and worked all the way through to the morning. So it had been booted out of the workshop at 8 o'clock that morning. So no, that actually happens. We don't want it to happen because we're ruined. You know, the whole workforce is ruined for days afterwards because, you know, nobody likes that transition from day shift to night shift. It's a terrible one. And if you've got to do that sort of like 2 or 3 times, or sort of do a double shift on a couple of days and then a treble shift, it just messes your life up.
Did Car SOS come looking for you, or did you go to them and say, "Hey, I've heard you're doing this new show. I want to be in it"?
They came looking for me. I was at my my house in Shropshire where I used to live, and I was rehearsing with the Wonder Stuff, who I was playing for at the time. And so, of course, because we were noisy and loud, I missed the call. And then I saw the voicemail blinking. So I had a listen, and it just said, "Oh, we're from a TV company." And I nearly sort of stopped the message at that point because I just thought they clearly want something for nothing. As most TV companies, when I used to write for magazines and stuff, if a TV company rang up, they wanted something for now. So I just thought it's going to be something like that again. They've just got my number and just think I'm, you know, still being the technical editor for this magazine. So they're going to come. But no, they wanted to screen test me because they'd seen some of the videos that I'd made when while I've been writing as a magazine journalist. They wanted to see. They'd seen the videos on online, and so wanted to screen test me. See how I work with Tim Shaw, who I knew from his days at Kerrang Radio. So it was an easy one, really.
How do you put up with Tim Shaw? He looks so annoying, and it looks like you might want to punch him. And I think I would have done by now. How do you put up with? He is television's most irritating man.
Listen, if you have to work on motor vehicles, old motor vehicles, and problem solve all the time, you gain this sort of, I suppose, this kind of Zen disposition, because there's no point in going at it and trying to break everything, because it's not gonna. You're just gonna make your own life worse. So I kind of transfer that sort of philosophy, that feeling, into when I'm working with Tim, and I do get my own back. But when I get my own back, I do it blooming properly. Let me tell you.
It looks like he just wants to wind you up. I'm not thinking, come on, Tim. And I've interviewed Tim on the radio, and he seems to be a really nice guy, by the way. Yeah. But I think you're messing it up for Fuzz. You can do the reveal. You can come up with a quirky idea at the end, because that is a lovely money shot. What you've got at the end, yes. When the person who has given up on the car, in fact, they've never given up on the car, the person that is unable to fulfill their dream. I've cried several times watching it. And Tim is really good at the reveal, but leave Fuzz alone, Tim. If you're watching this, leave him alone.
It's a workshop, though, isn't it? It's a workshop environment. And what happens in workshops, people get up to a little bit of horseplay. It's illegal now, kids. Be careful. It is illegal. But anyway, yeah, he gets up to a bit of horseplay. You know, he'll do whatever he's going to do. He'll put a hose up a trouser leg or what have you. And that's it. You know, that's what he loves doing. So I'll let him do it. I feel like I'm his father, you know, or his big brother. I could put him down, but I'm not going to do that to him. Why would I do that? Because he's my little brother. I look after him and nurture him and nurture that sense of mischief.
Tim is very lucky to have you, Fuzz. We did one of these with Mike Brewer. I'm a big fan of Mike Brewer. Is there a lot of competition between you guys, or are you always meeting backstage at the NEC motor show?
Mike Brewer, what does he do?
He invented the show that you're doing. Wheeler Dealers. He invented the whole thing that every other car show's doing.
No, I don't think I know that. I get on great with Mike. He's a great guy, even if he dresses a bit like a 1980s coach driver. I love him.
Ouch. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Obviously we've had Top Gear for years, and Top Gear used to be Michael, when we were younger, Michael Rodd and William Woolard talking about suspension and sprockets and Peter Purvis, boring for England on the new Vauxhall Viva. But then it becomes a giant of an entertainment show. and you've got wheeler dealers, but it seems to me that after wheeler dealers, which is different, obviously, to what Top Gear was, every channel in the world has a car show now.
Well, yeah, but some of them are more successful than others. I mean, we were lucky because we have that sort of altruistic element, you know, where we're sort of doing things for somebody, so we don't have the financial element. We don't have to balance out whether we love a car or hate a car. We just have to get a car done. So a lot of shows are different in that way. I mean, obviously wheeler dealers, they're sort of like trying to say, well, you know, you can do these cars up and make a bit of pin money, you know, on the side. We don't have the financial aspects. We don't, and it doesn't date it. So ours can go out. But yeah, there are a lot of car shows, but there aren't a lot of great car shows. I do like a bit of Bangers and Cash, though. Bangers and Cash
has been massive, hasn't it? It's Yesterday TV's biggest ever program.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. It's an easy watch, and everybody likes to. Well, every petrol head loves to go to car auctions and see what's going through. And with that, you can go to a car auction without having to even bother leaving your living room. Brilliant.
Yeah, but it makes me want to go and hang out with the Mathesons. They seem like such a great bunch of people. I want to be drinking tea with them, bidding on E-types, but I haven't got them. I've got the money for the tea, just about. Have you ever not been able to complete a car because something has gone wrong and you've had to shelve a program?
No, we've never had to shelve the program as such. There have been one or two cars very early on when people tried to pull the wool over our eyes and things weren't quite as they said they were. And so we just gave them their cars back without doing anything to them. So that's happened a couple of times. However, and one of those can be seen on the opening credits of very early Car SOS. So there is a car that you see on the opening credits that never got done.
Is that because someone gave you the mercy story and actually you were being had? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
You found out that someone was taking advantage? Oh.
Yeah, absolutely so. However, now that the show's much more well known, and of course the paperwork's a little bit more watertight, people are not, I don't think, quite so tempted to do that sort of pull that kind of subterfuge. Really, they're aware that they may end up with a large bill for the restoration of their car if they're fibbing.
And what about, have you ever taken a car, I don't know, like a Cortina Mark II, which actually only when it's fully done will be worth, and I'm just making this up now, £10,000 to £12,000 concourse, but you've actually ended up having to spend 18 on it to make the program work?
Oh, much more than that, yeah. We have just done a Bedford HA ice cream van, which in its basically show condition now, it will be worth somewhere between probably £12,000 and £20,000. But in the amount of hours that we put into it, probably around about 1,400 to 1,500 hours, then you can basically work that out as an hourly rate. I mean, my workshop doesn't charge the production anywhere near a normal hourly rate, but if you just, even at 20 quid an hour, that would be a massive bill. So that would be what? That would be 46. Oh, sorry, terrible maths. So 20 quid an hour. So it was 1,400 hours, 28,000 quid. But I can tell you, it's more than that, much more.
Wow! But for you, Fuzz, it must be wonderful to be, because your workshop now, people must be queuing up to get their cars done up by Fuzz Townshend. This must be, the oxygen of publicity for you must just be breathtaking.
Well, that is true. It's great, but the problem is because we're doing such huge jobs on Car SOS now. It means that nobody can really have a holiday until Car SOS finishes, which means that we only get sort of 3 or 4 months out of the year where we can really seriously work on other customers' cars. So we're trying to address this actually at the moment and trying to work out a way, maybe doing doing a double workshop kind of thing, whereby we can still do customers' cars and do that. Because yeah, you're right. I mean, we've had one guy who rang us up and said, look, I live in Australia. There's a couple of places that I'd use out here to do my car, but I don't want to. I really don't want to entrust it to them. I want you guys to do it. And we said, well, look, we haven't got time to do it at the moment, so I'm really sorry. Next thing we know, it arrives. Shipped it from Australia, and so it's with us now. We got no choice but to do it, really. So things like that happen. So we've got work from 12,000 miles away. Literally, a car shipped halfway around the world, about as far as you can go without going back on yourself.
That is amazing. And we all know that if you're at a party and there's a doctor there, it's very hard not to go up to the doctor and say, would you like another drink? By the way, I've had this pain in my knee. Is it the same for you with cars that people say, you just couldn't come around and have a look? Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah. People, I get invited to see people's cars all the time. I could be a fantastic and prolific car thief or a great housebreaker because, I get to see, I could see behind the scenes everywhere. But, I don't have time. I realize now I'm getting older. There's not time in my life to go into everybody's garages and go into everybody's workshops. So I have to use my time wisely now. So I actually, when I say use my time wisely, what I'm doing, I'm sitting in a 1920s car that I'm going to have to work on next time I use it. Yeah, I don't use my time wisely. Maybe I'm just getting a bit selfish in my old age.
What is it between, and you're a really good example of this, someone who's been in a band who loves classic cars and can actually do them. What is this link between rock and roll and classic cars?
Well, if the rock and roller happens to have a hit and makes loads of money, they're going to turn into an absolute instant idiot overnight. So what happens is they go out, they buy that fast car that they've always wanted so they can hang around the little back streets where they've always hung around and be flash. And before you know it, they've stuffed it into a wall and landed themselves with a large bill. So listen, rock stars like a fast car. It's all about image. I mean, classic cars are great because you don't need to go fast to look cool. I mean, look at me now.
What should we be buying, Fuzz?
What should you be buying? If you want to invest and you're not bothered about, sort of like the look, if you want to invest, get anything that's a fast Ford, one of the mass-produced fast Fords, some of the ST kind of stuff and all that, and put it away. Get a low mileage one now. Get something that's had the big depreciation. It's probably 7 years old, but low mileage, been looked after. Shove it in the garage. 13 years later, bring it out, flog it. There you go. You'll be absolute. You'll win. You win all the time with Fords. It's like hook and duck.
And finally, Fuzz, what's in your car collection?
In my car collection at the moment, we have this rather fine but kind of ratty Austin 12.4 Burnham Tourer, and a 1929 Humber 1650, which, yeah, it's all right. Yeah, it's a nice car. A 1959 Jensen 541R, which is a little bit more racy. I'd like to think that if Gene Vincent was resident in the UK in 1959, he'd have liked to have been going around in a Jensen 541R. And I've got a 1969 Daimler Fleetline double-decker bus that used to operate around Birmingham and the Black Country. So I do like a double-decker bus. Everyone should have one.
And if you could only have the Austin 12 or Tim Shaw, which would it be?
The Austin 12. I said it. I did say that.
Say hello to Tim for us and send him our very best. Congratulations on Car SOS. It is such a good car programme. And Fuzz, thank you very much.
It has been my pleasure. And I know it's Cars, Stars, Guitars. I do play the bass guitar really badly. Really badly.
Next time, Fuzz. Next time, you on the bass in the jacket. Have we got a deal?
Okay, that's cool. We'll do that one. You've definitely got a deal.
Stars, Cars, Guitars was produced by Tom Stroud.